Hello, welcome to Armchair Sports Talk, and today we're talking about the AFC East. This 10-minute topic is going to be on the AFC East. We'll be looking at it from the worst to the first. So we'll start down at the bottom of the division, which is going to be the Miami Dolphins. Their 4.5 game win total is the lowest that I've seen. They're not holding them in high regard, and understandably so. The Dolphins bring in veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, who sort of revitalized his career, or at least extended it with his play in Tampa Bay last season. But unfortunately, he goes to a Dolphins team that is lacking a little bit of talent. They have a new head coach. Adam Gase moved within the division to the Jets, and they brought in a defensive coordinator from the Patriots. And he doesn't have much of a track record, but he comes from the Patriots coaching staff, so we'll let him earn his name drop on here. The 4.5 game win total is pretty appropriate. Um, I would lean towards the under. That's a low number. So I guess I'll put them right at 4-12. Dolphins, sorry for the Dolphins fans out there. I think it's a rebuilding year for sure, maybe 2 years looking down the path. But they do have a player to watch. They traded for Josh Rosen. He's not the player to watch, but there's a good chance he'll be playing by midseason just to see what they have in their acquisition. They have Devontae Parker still at wide receiver. I'm not exactly sure why. I think he's been up and down, to put it nicely. He was a high draft pick, so maybe they're giving him one last year. They have some decent veteran players. I mean, Kenny Stills is good. They just they're lacking the big names. They're lacking the upside players. But there's one player that I like. It's their tight end, Mike Gesicki. Yeah, that's how familiar I am with the Dolphins. But Gesicki is actually a name I've seen before. I think he was supposed to make a little noise last season, and unfortunately, it did not. But I don't think Adam Gase is known for using his tight ends frequently, and we don't know what the new coach of the Dolphins is going to do. But Gesicki is a name we recognize. He was a high draft pick of an investment, and I think that they're going to look to see what they have out of him. So for all those Dolphins fans out there, just keep your chin up, and things will turn around. As we move up in the division, we go to the Bills at 6.5. That's the projected win total. I kind of like the Bills a little bit. Sean McDermott, their head coach, was a highly touted recruit. He's kind of on the hot seat now, but they do have some interesting pieces. LaShawn McCoy, I know he's getting up there in age and he's been riddled with injuries, but I still think he's an above-average running back. So if they win some games, I think he'll find himself in a pretty decent spot to have an okay season. If they lose some of the early games, they'll probably look and see what they have in their younger players there, because their quarterback's already young, so they know that the Josh Allen, LaShawn McCoy combo is not going to be long-lived. And I do like Josh Allen a lot. In fact, I'll just go and jump right into it. He's my player to watch. He had some amazing games last year. I know one of them was in my eliminator pick when I chose the Vikings to beat the Bills at home, and they couldn't do that. Josh Allen came into Minnesota with a different game plan. He ran all over them. He threw a little bit, and they were not going to lose that game. They actually won pretty handedly. So Josh Allen is a talented quarterback. He's hard to tackle. He's a big guy. He's got a big arm. They even brought in some named wide receivers in the form of John Brown, who was with the Ravens. So he's used to playing with a quarterback who knows his struggle or has his struggles, and playing with Lamar Jackson. So John Brown, I think, gives him a really nice deep threat, and Josh Allen is known for his deep ball. Zay Jones is still okay. They have just a handful of other hodgepodge pieces, including moving Robert Foster down the depth chart. He was actually a really good play for them last season, and I do think they have some talent on the defensive side as well. Some good pass rushing, just an overall solid defense from top to bottom, including one of the better cornerbacks in the league. So the Bills 6.5 game win total. I'll actually lean a little on the over. I think they could be right around 7-9, could be flirting with 8-8. And if they're 8-8 or better, I think that McDermott does keep his job. So now we go to Adam's Wild Eyes Gaze and the New York Jets. I have them here just truly by a thread. And I just went through their personnel. I think they have one of the better coaches in Adam Gase, even though I was having a little fun with his wild stare in his press conference. But he actually made the Dolphins right around a 500 team for the time he was there, with Ryan Tannehill, Jarvis Landry as his number one, and a handful of other pieces that are more complementary role players. So now that he has Sam Darnold, a high draft pick, he has Le'Veon Bell, coming over. Quincy Enunwa has shown himself to be a talent. Robbie Anderson's overperformed, I'd say, but if he can live up to what he's done in the past, he'll be a serviceable number one. Chris Herndon at tight end when he comes back from suspension, I think 4 games for PEDs. Maybe he'll have the same kind of season Julian Edelman did when he came back from PEDs, or at least it was an illegal substance. And I'll just sprinkle the word allegedly in there. So, yeah, allegedly on all of those, but he is serving a 4-game suspension. My player to watch on the Jets is Enunwa. I mean, it's easy to choose Sam Darnold in this case. I haven't seen enough yet to really be too excited, but I do think he has some nice pieces around him. So Le'Veon Bell should take some of that pressure off by stacking the box, having too many players close to the line of scrimmage, eliminating those easy throws. And if they're going to have to play honest with Le'Veon Bell back there, decent wide receivers, and Sam Darnold being the talent that he is, I do think that Enunwa is going to be the guy that gets kind of goes under the radar because Robbie Anderson is going to draw the attention of the number 1 cornerback. Quincy Enunwa's on the other side, but I do remember him running a lot of plays out of the slot, which is typically the 3rd wide receiver role. But slot wide receivers tend to find themselves closer to the line of scrimmage. He's shown he's had good hands. He has great burst of speed. So for the New York Jets, their 7-game win total, I would lean towards the over. I actually have them and the Jets probably finishing right at the same. So probably both 8-8 maybe. It's a little close. And Quincy Enunwa was my player to watch. I don't really pay too much mind to the Jets or the Bills. I think there's only going to be one playoff team coming out of this division, and that playoff team will be the New England Patriots. Their over-under for win totals this season is 11, so that's a lot of wins. I think they get there. I just went through the rest of their division rather quickly, just because they're head and shoulders better than the rest. Tom Brady's coming back for, I think it's his 80th season. I'm going to fact check myself on that later. But they bring back Julian Edelman, who got himself the Super Bowl MVP. I know they're losing Rob Gronkowski, but if you remember for most of the season, he was a non-factor, and he served as a great decoy, and he did have some nice moments where he played well. Let's see. The other players on the Patriots are actually coming together a little more so than we expected, including Josh Gordon, who got reinstated here recently. I think he was supposed to be suspended forever, but they look like they shortened it just slightly less than forever. So with Josh Gordon, they have N'Keal Harry, I think is his name, a rookie who they're really high on. They traded for a tight end on the Falcons. He was kind of buried on the depth chart, but whenever the Patriots make a move for a tight end, you kind of gets your attention. So we'll see if he makes a name for himself, landed in New England. And you never want to count out Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Plus, they have a great running game still. Rex Burkhead showed up in the playoffs. They weren't expecting much out of him, I would imagine, but they signed him, and he's a very versatile player. Of course, they still have Sony Michel. And then they also drafted a running back out of Alabama. Forgive me for not knowing his name. He may not have enough opportunities to see the field just because there's so many mouths to feed in New England. But my player to watch is going to be consistent Julian Edelman. I mean, he won the Super Bowl MVP. He has no 4-game suspension for PEDs. And if you're doing a point every time you catch a ball, or point per reception league, Julian Edelman's going to get peppered with passes from Tom Brady because they're very low risk and high reward. It allows him to stack up the completions, the yards, and hopefully the wins. So Patriots over 11 games. I think 12 or 13. I know 13-3 is hard to do in the NFL, but Bill Belichick's done it before. I think they could find themselves resting towards the end of the season. But that's my summary of the AFC East. We have the Patriots over their 11-game projection with Julian Edelman to watch. The Jets just slightly over their 7-game projection with Quincy Enunwa. And then we have the Bills with over 6.5 with Josh Allen. And last and possibly least, the Miami Dolphins under their 4.5 wins with keep an eye on tight end, Mr. Gesicki. Thank you for watching Armchair Sports Talk. I'm Sterling. Be sure to follow us on all our social media channels, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you very much.